She kicked the swing so hard it snapped. My wife, 8 months pregnant, fell before I could reach her. That sound, that crack of chain and wood, it still plays in my head like a loop I can't shut off. And while I was screaming her name, the president of our HOA stood 3 feet away, folding her arms, acting like nothing happened. My name's Landon Pierce, and I'm a structural engineer. I've built homes that stood through hurricanes, but nothing prepared me for the storm that started on my own porch. That swing wasn't decoration, it was therapy. My wife Elena had back surgery last year, and the doctor told her gentle motion would help blood flow during her last trimester. So we built that swing together, painted it pale blue to match the nursery. It was her favorite spot. And on that afternoon, when the sun hit just right, it looked peaceful until Cynthia Rowell, our HOA president, came marching across the lawn like she owned the place. You ever meet someone who's addicted to control? That's Cynthia. Perfect blonde bob, pearl bracelet, always quoting bylaws like scripture. She'd fined us before once for leaving recycling bins visible for 10 minutes, another time for string lights Elena hung for Christmas. It was never about the rules. It was about reminding everyone that she ran Maple Ridge Preserve. That day she showed up with 2 board members, both filming on their phones for documentation. She pointed at the swing and said it was an unauthorized structure. I told her it had been approved 6 months ago. She smirked. Then you should have known better than to hang it without permission. Elena tried to calm her down. I'm pregnant, she said softly. You can't just barge in here. Cynthia's lip curled. Then you should know better than to dangle from something unsafe. I swear, before I could even move, she stepped forward and kicked the swing hard. The chain popped, the seat twisted. Elena's scream cut through everything. I caught her halfway down, but her head hit the railing. She gasped, clutching her stomach, whispering, I can't feel the baby. The whole street froze. Neighbors' sprinklers still running, nobody dared speak. And Cynthia, she just stood there, smoothing her blazer like she'd scuffed a shoe. Porch structures must be pre-approved, she said coldly. You were warned. When the paramedics arrived, I kept repeating what happened, but Cynthia told the cops it was a tragic accident. Her version spread faster than sirens. That's how it works in neighborhoods like ours. The HOA speaks and the truth gets edited. That night in the hospital, under flickering fluorescent lights, I sat outside Elena's room replaying it all. The officer came with a clipboard and said, According to Mrs. Rowell, your wife became aggressive during a verbal dispute. I almost laughed. Aggressive? She's 8 months pregnant. But he just wrote something down. Cynthia had already filed a complaint against us. You don't know helplessness until someone hurts your family and then files paperwork claiming you did it to them. I wanted to scream. Instead, I did what engineers do. I documented. Every permit, every email, every signature. If she wanted a war of records, I'd fight her with precision. The next morning, I woke up to find orange inspection tags stuck all over my porch, a yellow ribbon reading pending review. She'd turned my home into a crime scene. And yet deep down, I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. That's when I saw Glenn, our maintenance contractor. He was trimming hedges across the street, body cam blinking red. He'd been there when it happened. I walked over quietly. You saw what she did, didn't you? He froze. His voice cracked. They told me to delete the footage. Said it was a liability risk. I looked toward Cynthia's white Lexus, idling at the curb. Whose idea was that? He didn't answer. Just whispered, I have a family. I remember saying, You're not the one who should be scared. But I could see in his eyes fear runs deeper than guilt. Days later, I got a notice, an emergency HOA meeting about my behavior. Cynthia sat at the head of the table, pearl bracelet glinting under fluorescent light. We're here to discuss your harassment of a community employee, she said smoothly. My wife's still recovering from an assault, and you're holding a meeting about my conduct. Her smile didn't move. You engineers always think paperwork protects you. This isn't a courtroom, Mr. Pierce. The community believes me. I didn't argue. I just let my phone keep recording in my pocket. Her arrogance was its own confession. After that meeting, I almost gave up. I really did. I remember sitting alone in my car outside the hospital, staring at my hands, thinking maybe I'd made it worse. Maybe I should have just taken down the swing, stayed quiet like everyone else. What's one family against an entire system built to silence people like me? Then Elena called. Her voice was weak, but she said, You recorded it, didn't you? I didn't. But Glenn did. Somewhere on some server the truth existed, and that was enough to pull me back. I spent the next week tracing everything: contracts, insurance clauses, maintenance policies. That's when I realized the footage wasn't stored on HOA property. It was archived automatically by the insurance company I'd once worked with, Brightstone Mutual, and I was still listed as the engineer of record. So I walked in like I belonged. Clipboard under my arm, old badge on my jacket. Routine infrastructure audit, I said. The receptionist checked her screen, nodded, and let me in. When I accessed the system, I saw it: Maple Ridge Preserve incident footage, timestamped the day of the assault. I clicked download. The progress bar moved, then froze. Remote deletion in progress. User Rowell C. She was in the system, deleting it live. But Cynthia didn't know one thing: I'd built that system. I'd added a failsafe for data integrity. Every deletion automatically copied to the state compliance server. And there it was, auto-sync complete. Compliance Oversight Division. She had just backed up her own guilt. I walked out of that building lighter than I'd felt in weeks. For the first time since it happened, I had proof: her voice, her login, her signature. When I got home, there was a voicemail waiting. Cynthia's voice, sugar-sweet and venomous. Mr. Pierce, your unauthorized access constitutes data theft. I advise you to return all files before this escalates legally. I played it twice, then sent it straight to a reporter I knew, Nora Lively. She texted back, "Perfect. That's intimidation on record. Let's go public." We met at a coffee shop downtown. She looked older than I remembered, but still sharp. I showed her the audio, the logs, everything. She nodded. "We can make this a live segment, but you'll need to face her publicly. No hiding." That was fine with me. Cynthia planned a community integrity forum that Friday, a PR stunt to reassert her control. Nora's crew would disguise themselves as local volunteers, cameras ready. We'd stream it live. Friday morning felt unreal. Folding chairs lined the clubhouse lawn, a white canopy overhead. The HOA banner fluttered in the breeze: Community Integrity Forum. Cynthia moved through the crowd in a pastel suit, smiling like a politician. She had no idea her empire was about to implode. When she stepped on stage, her voice poured through the speakers, smooth and rehearsed. "Good morning, Maple Ridge family. There have been rumors, but today we reaffirm our unity and trust." That's when Nora raised her hand from the back of the crowd. My cue. I hit enter. The projector behind Cynthia flickered. The HOA logo dissolved into static, and then there it was. The footage. Cynthia's voice shouting, "You people think the rules don't apply to you," followed by the sound of her kicking the swing. Elena's cry echoed across the speakers. The crowd gasped. Phones came up. Cynthia spun around, face pale. "That video is doctored." Nora stepped forward. "It's verified by the State Compliance Division, and Mrs. Rowell, the deletion request came from your own account." Ben, one of her board members, stood up. His voice cracked. "She made me falsify the meeting minutes. She said it was to protect the community." Chaos broke loose. Residents shouting, reporters pushing forward, cameras flashing. Cynthia tried to grab the mic. "You think they'll believe you over me?" she hissed. I held up the printed log. They already do. Within minutes, police arrived. Nora had tipped them off in advance. They'd seen the footage. One officer stepped up calmly. "Mrs. Rowell, you need to come with us." Her perfect image cracked right there. The pastel suit, the pearls, the fake calm, all gone. As they led her off the stage, the only sound left was the crowd murmuring, phones buzzing, and the banner behind her flapping in the wind. When it ended, I just stood there staring at that same porch swing, its chains gone, space empty, but somehow it felt lighter. I wasn't proud. I wasn't angry. I was just done. Later, Nora told me the state was launching a reform task force, the Pierce Provision. It would require every HOA enforcement action in the state to be recorded and archived. Glenn got his job back under state supervision. And Cynthia, her real estate license was revoked, her HOA career erased. People asked if I felt satisfied. The truth, justice isn't satisfaction. It's restoration. And that's not something you celebrate. It's something you rebuild slowly, quietly, inch by inch. I never wanted to be a hero. I just wanted peace. And that's the thing about people who hide behind power. They always think exposure will destroy them. They're right. Because when the truth finally shows its face, it doesn't need to scream. It just shines bright enough that their lies burn away.